So you're 17 years old, you've moved out, you're on your own. What's the plan?
Yeah, wow. So I remember I had this flat in Worthing. It was the cheapest flat available on Rightmove, 450 quid a month, which is more than I could afford, but I was like, right, let's do it. Was working a bunch of different jobs, trying to finish college, kind of scraped through. And then I actually was watching, this is so cringe, but it's funny. I was like one of them lads that watched Wolf of Wall Street and was like, this is it for me. Do you know what I mean? This is the game. I'm gonna become a millionaire doing sales stuff. So I went and got a few sales jobs, made some actually not bad money for my age, but really didn't enjoy it. And, you know, ended up with that kind of lack of guidance. I ended up just doing the things that felt to me like the most fun, or the most, like, they would bring, in my naivety, they would bring me the most meaningful experiences at the time, which ended up being going out a lot with the boys and drinking and gambling. And that's kind of what my life was for the next kind of 2-3 years after that.
Were you addicted to gambling? Because I was reading through your story and speaking to some of your friends, and they told me that there was some instances where you basically lost everything you had and had to borrow money off your missus at the time.
Yeah, oh mate, it's embarrassing to even talk about. Like, I remember, you know, I didn't have much money, but I'd done one night on roulette, I'd done about I think it was over $2,000 on online roulette, just sitting there on my phone late at night, just tapping away. And that was kind of everything I had at the time, and plus the overdraft, plus all the rest of it. And I was too embarrassed to say anything. So I told my missus, like, I think I just made up some bullshit lies about what this XYZ, and said, like, I need to borrow money for rent and stuff this month. There was a moment there where I was like, okay, this really needs to stop. And I just went on every single gambling website I could find and did the self-ban thing. Never gambled since.
And the alcohol?
Yeah, I mean, I think the alcohol stuff was just like binge drinking culture. I wouldn't say like I was an alcoholic or anything like this. That was just the only way I could really, the only thing I look forward to. I'd hate my job, so I'd hate work all throughout the week, but I'd be like, all right, Saturday with the boys, or Saturday drinking this, whatever, going out here was like the thing that I look forward to. That was the only thing I was really living for.
Was there part of you throughout that period of your life when you're working in sales, you're gambling too much, you're drinking too much? I heard you were overweight at the time as well. Was there a part of you that sort of a voice inside your head that was saying like, come on, Russ, like this isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I was so miserable, man. So miserable at that time. I really struggled. I remember I would like wake up throughout the week just like crying. Just so miserable. Yeah.
You'd wake up through the week crying?
Just like, I'd wake up, like, supposed to go to work. I'd just be like, so upset. Just be like, the worst. So miserable. Couldn't just fathom. I was like, why is life this, why does it suck this much? You know, like I really had felt like I was kind of trapped. Lack of connection, I think, was a big part of that.
You had people around you though, but you just weren't connected.
I had like a few of my boys, but I wasn't speaking to my family at all at this time. Well, I guess I was just doing a lot of things that would make you miserable. Like I had no control over my finances because I was pissing away everything I earned on roulette. The only things I looked forward to was going out and getting pissed, which would make me feel like shit as well. And then I would go to work and hate it, working every day. So like, it doesn't take a genius to work out that's going to be a pretty miserable existence, you know?
And you didn't have family around you?
Didn't have like many deep connections. So.
How old were you at that point in your life?
So that would be like 17, 18, 19, 20 maybe, just about.
So if you had to give me a word to summarize your sort of mental health throughout that period, how would you describe your mental health?
Toilet. Yeah, bad. Pretty bad.
Was there a worse day that you can recall?
Yeah, I mean, I remember, like, I do remember just
If you don't want to talk about it,
yeah.
You go at your own pace. You tell me what you're comfortable talking about.
I mean, I remember days, like I said, I'd wake up crying, speak to my boss. I remember even one day with my boss, speaking to him on the phone, just bursting into tears, crying. And I think what was hard is that I didn't understand anything. I didn't understand why. You know what I mean? I didn't have the tools to really make any sense of the situation. Because, you know, like now I'm 7, 8, 9 years older, I can look back and go, yeah, well, it's what happens when you gamble loads and you piss all your money away and you drink loads and you don't have anything in your life that's going to bring you any meaning or fulfillment. It's obvious. But at the time, I didn't know that. So that kind of sense of helplessness was a really big weight on me. And it just felt like I was never going to be able to shift it. I think that was the most difficult thing. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this.
You had dark thoughts?
Yeah.
The most dark thoughts?
Pretty much.
That season of your life, I've heard you kind of describe it as a rock bottom moment. And it's interesting because there's so many people that are somewhere along that journey where they're struggling. They've got that sense of helplessness that you've described, and they're searching for answers. And I think in some respects, thinking about some people that I've spoken to recently, they've kind of given up believing that they can solve this because it's gone on for too long.
Yeah.
And as you said, they don't even know what's causing it. They just feel it. They feel it intensely. I've got a couple of friends that are really going through that at the moment. And I always wonder to myself, like, how does someone get from that moment, their like personal rock bottom, what does it take to get them starting the climb? Because that's why I'm asking these questions. I see it in your story. I see you going further and further and further and further and further and further down.
Yeah.
Reaching this rock bottom moment. And then in that rock bottom moment, you have some of the I think the darkest thoughts anyone can have. And then something causes you to make a decision.
Yeah. I think there's a few different things that went into that melting pot. I think actually a massive thing was like things like listening to podcasts. And I remember listening to like Joe Rogan a lot back in the day. And I remember there was a Jordan Peterson episode ages ago. I know it's like a classic thing, but that really kind of hit me. And that's what I like. I love listening to him now. And I know he's a bit controversial these days and people have X, Y, Z to say about him. But for me, like, just having, that was like my guidance in a lot of ways. And I think so blessed to have been born in this generation where the guidance can come through all of these online resources. Whereas before, you know, like 20, 30 years ago, maybe that would never have come for me. And maybe 20 years later, I'd still be in the same spot. So like incredibly grateful for that.